Whenever I think of Titanfall, I think of a very promising game. The first one was great, but failed due to a number of reasons. So when the second game came out, I was skeptical at first. However, the game was great and improved from the first game in almost every way, most notably having a single player campaign. Even with these improvements, Titanfall 2 was ultimately overshadowed by an awkward release window. It was released the week after Battlefield 1 and a week before the newest COD. I believe it was Infinite Warfare or something. Considering those two are part of the biggest FPS games out there, I honestly couldn't understand why Respawn decided to release Titanfall 2 in this time frame. This, in my opinion, is the biggest reason why Titanfall 2 died so quickly after release. People played it for a couple days and decided to play the bigger games instead. With that being said, you can still play the game today and find lobbies, it will just take longer to fill your game. Titanfall 2 had a lot of potential, too bad it was an uphill battle and they didn't have enough power to push it.
Trust me.
The campaign is great. It has a sense of urgency and doesn't take itself too seriously while at the same time maintaining the balance of, hey, you know, that could actually happen. Which, if you've watched my video on Metro, you understand to me that that's important. If you haven't, go watch it, it's short and sweet. Plugs aside, the level design provides probably one of the best linear experiences I've had in a while. At the start, it's small and trains you on how to use your kit properly, slowly building up to, and mind you, I don't like using this word, but epic battles with large-scale conflicts. Something about flying around, hopping on the top of dropships to board huge ships, to then go and slaughter a bunch of enemies is just really fun. The story isn't next level and is honestly pretty generic. It's your standard bad guys trying to blow up a planet and it's up to you to stop them. But what really sells it is the set pieces. Each level is its own and unique fun, using different parts of your kit. My favorite one by far is that factory level where it's building houses and you have to maneuver around everything to prevent being crushed, leading to a large dome where you fend off waves of enemy while not having your Titan with you. The only level I had an issue with is the first one, solely because it didn't feel unique in any way. Shortly after this level, Respawn nails smoothly transitioning between fighting and parkour to Titan sections. It doesn't break up the sections with loading screens or just have one theme the entire level, and that's something to appreciate. By far the best part is how you see firsthand the relationship between the main character and BT's growth over the game. At first it's kind of rough around the edges, but towards the end there is complete trust between the two. The writing for BT is well crafted, delivering comedic lines with a dry manner.
Hell yeah, I'm on a hot streak.
Your vitals do not indicate a temperature problem. Do you wish for me to investigate this hot streak sensation further?
Also, you can't tell me when he gives you a thumbs up, he is not the cutest thing ever. Every other character didn't really stick out too well. The bosses were hyped up in each level, but then just easily taken out and didn't have a whole lot of lore at face value. The fights themselves were unique and pretty quality in comparison to other FPS games. Some games in the genre either have a campaign that feels long and drags on, or is way too short, which is okay because some aren't really meant to be done in one sitting. But with this game, I found it to be the perfect length. I was playing on the hardest difficulty and completed the game in roughly 6 hours. I am really tempted to play again because the flow of the game is smooth. It doesn't end abruptly or take forever. It feels like you complete the journey yourself. There's a good climbing action, climax, and resolution. I'm not going to spoil how it ends or anything because if you're at all curious to play, you can find the game for cheap somewhere. I'd say that with just the single player alone, it's worth it. But that's only half the game. The other half is the multiplayer. One of the unfortunate things with life is that things fade over time. Communities slowly die and then games slowly dissipate into the darkness. But with some games, they get a new breath of life into them. Most recently, Battlefield 4 had a surge in popularity on the announcement of Battlefield 2042. With Titanfall, it seems that the players who have not been satisfied with how Apex is going switch over. It seems weird that people from a battle royale would move over to a normal shooter, but it's because of one thing. Respawn has perfected the movement in this game. Movement in video games is worth making its own video about, but I'll keep it nice and simple. The core part of the game is the gameplay. If the gameplay isn't fun, then why would anyone want to play?
If it's not fun, why bother?
Of course, there are a small few of us who enjoy playing awful games, but this applies to the majority. Out of all gameplay elements, movement is the biggest for me. In my last video, Nightcry, if you watched it, you can see it controls like ass, and believe me, it made the game very difficult for me to play. This is why I personally love Titanfall. Several times while playing the multiplayer, I was just having fun running and jumping around, not even caring about killing enemies. Now, I don't know exactly when verticality became important in video games, but it was around this time. The grapple hook is an amazing invention to enter in video games. It really frees the player's control to move how they want to. That's the power of movement in video games. Honestly, a very underrated game mechanic. Another innovative mechanic Respawn has introduced with the series is having cannon fodder around the map, really showcasing how strong the pilots are compared to the grunts. It would be similar to Halo if they had Marines around the map to kill to get more points and progression. This way, even the least skilled pilots feel as though they're doing something. It really makes the game accessible to all players. The progression in the game isn't too bad either. It's not a basic level system where you get XP, it's based on merits. You earn merits through leveling weapons or getting accolades. It gives it a more organic approach to leveling. Okay, now that I've used that word, I can check it off the list of things to say. Jokes aside, unique leveling systems really keep the game fresh. Although it's nothing revolutionary, it sets itself apart from the rest of the genre. Also, no battle pass. I'm sure they would have done one if the game was more popular, seeing how they dealt with Apex. Which leads us into the next topic, how Respawn is handling the Titanfall games. It's rumored that there's only a handful of people working on the dev team for the game still, which means they've pretty much given up on the game, which tears a hole in my heart. Titanfall has a unique premise and does just about everything right. So I'm about to contradict myself by saying this, but this is one of the major reasons for the dying community. Recently the games have been hit with some DDoSes in a weird attempt to save Titanfall. I don't really understand the premise, but it makes it really hard for people to get into it if you can't get into a lobby in the game. People are fucking idiots.
Pilot, I have concluded we should take no further shortcuts.
Not only has Titanfall innovated gameplay mechanics, but it's also revolutionized game file sizes. Now, if you were around when the first game's beta came out, you would know how much of an uproar there was over the 50GB download size. Nowadays, that's pretty tame for a AAA game, where a game like Modern Warfare 2019 was, only roughly 231 gigs. Ludicrous, I know. But I remember playing the beta on my first PC where it was pretty much taped together and I could barely play anything, using the smart pistol to compensate for the lack of frames. I think that's around the time I was playing a lot of Warframe. Back to the point, this game was released back in 2016. That was 5 years ago. If this doesn't show the grim fate of the series, then I don't know what would. I really hope Respawn will put some effort towards this game series. Of course, there's been no word on a third one, and quite frankly, I don't think there will be. Let this series be a lesson to all developers out there. You can have an amazing concept, but if you don't take care of the games, they will not succeed at all. Which is very unfortunate because Titanfall truly is amazing. It brought quick movement that focuses on verticality to the mainstream. Respawn, please make Titanfall 3.
This is Pilot Jack Cooper, signing off.
I decided that I was going to make one video a month and post it around the 10th. But in light of some recent life changes, it's become harder and harder to sit and make these videos. I plan to continue on this schedule, but if I run late a couple times, please cut me some slack. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and even subscribe. Anything helps, really. Thanks again for watching. See you guys in the next one.